known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.
Happy Tuesday, guys. Welcome into WagerTalk TV. You're watching Puck Time. I'm happy to be here with you all. Also with Carmine, Bianco, and Don Buster, breaking down tonight's Eastern Conference final game featuring the Tampa Bay Lightning hosting the New York Rangers. Guys, last night we saw a sweep take place in the Western Conference as the Colorado Avalanche defeat the Oilers in 4 straight games. But it wasn't an easy fashion, at least not in the fourth game. What a roller coaster of a game that was, and it goes to show the type of team Colorado really are, the way they won that game. But Colorado moves on, and if this series in the East goes as planned, they're going to be sitting for a long time. They're going to have a decent amount of rest, to figure things out, but hopefully not get too rested and forget about the game a little bit. But yeah, we got a sweep in the Western Conference Finals, a great performance from both teams, really. And how about that start? How about that start to the game? Starts a little bit slow and picks up. Talked about on yesterday's show how in these types of games, third period is often the highest scoring period. That's definitely what we saw. If you're an in-game bettor, you cash some tickets on some in-game overs in yesterday's game, that's for sure. And just real quick about injuries. You hear about it all the time in hockey. Darnell Nurse with torn hip flexor, Leon Draisaitl, multiple injuries. Just my utmost respect for those players, the way they play through injuries. You just don't see it in a lot of other sports, the way that these guys are out there. Leon Draisaitl was in agony pretty much after every shift on the bench. Same thing with Nurse, and so many of those guys banged up, but an overall team effort from the Colorado Avalanche. And you kind of figured that once we saw that game get tied up, and then then Colorado takes the lead, Edmonton ties it up. But once it was going to overtime, I kind of figured it was going to be Colorado's game. Arturi Lehkonen, an old pal from our team, Buster, he gets his second straight game-winning goal to send his team to the Stanley Cup Finals. Looks like that was worth the addition at the trade deadline for them. But Carm, I got to congratulate you, man. I had the over with you pregame. I also had in-game over 5.5 and probably some more in-games, but you had a 5% ticket on that over. Congratulations to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. And thanks to everyone that followed along. Honestly, Andrew, I always talk about you call it as you see it. And, 23 minutes left in that game, 23 and change, let's call it. It's tied at 1. That bet was dead and should have lost. And you and Prez are texting me saying, and you're sending me journey videos from YouTube, Don't Stop Believing. And they got a couple of goals, but still at 3-1 going to the third. I was certain that the bet was dead. I'm not a negative person per se, but it's just the pace of the game, and they weren't really getting quality shots on Francouz. And then for a little while, Mike Smith looked like a Vezina Trophy winner. There's a little sarcasm in that. But Colorado, they just come in waves, and they have a way of embarrassing teams. And while it was 6-5 in overtime, essentially a 4-game sweep of the Oilers is a bit of an embarrassment, same like they did to Nashville in the first round. Ken Holland's got a lot on his plate in the summertime to try and figure out what needs to be done. And I think it starts with the goaltending. We talked about it. Smith was good, but not great in the playoffs, but he let in some softies. And I'm not sure if we have the graphic, if we can put this up. You guys have that graphic by chance? I've got a graphic here. This was heading into game 1 of the conference finals. And you can see Smith is at 8th. Heading into game 1, sorry, this is at the end of game after the sweep. Heading into game 1, Smith was 4th behind Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, and Ottinger, and he was at 8.8 goals saved above expected, and he finished at 1.9. You know what that tells you? That tells you that he didn't play great, And the Colorado Avalanche are a finely tuned offensive machine, and they can just score at will, it seems. And they did that in that third period. That game went over the total and well over the total. But I'll tell you, honestly, I thought the bet got lucky, Andrew. The play got lucky. I know you guys don't believe it, you and Prez, but I think it got lucky. But it got there, and that's all that really matters for my clients. And and I had Avs to win the Western Conference at plus 225. Avs to win the first game of the series and win the series minus 120, and then the Avs minus 1.5 games in the series, and they got them all. All I'm left with as far as the Avalanche go right now is my preseason bet on them at plus 550 to win the Stanley Cup. And I guess we're going to find out very soon. But this is one time you cannot blame Andrew. Before I go to Buster, you cannot blame
me.
No, you cannot blame the forwards on this Edmonton team. They showed up. McDavid, 10 goals, 23 assists. Draisaitl, held together by duct tape, 7 goals, 25 assists. You look at even their second line showed up. So who didn't show up? Well, their defense didn't show up. Their goaltending didn't show up. Your D has to help your goalie, as do the forwards coming back and back checking. And again, if they had played anybody else, maybe we see a different result. Maybe we see a longer series. But this Colorado Avalanche team are just playing full of confidence, and they're embarrassing teams along the way. They were the best team, I think, during the regular season. Arguably, they were the best team during the regular season, and they are in the playoffs. So we'll see if they face the two-time defending champions Tampa, or if they're going to play the New York Rangers. Buster, any thoughts on yesterday's game before we get into the Rangers and Lightning?
Yes, Carmine, as just like you and Andrew, I also had to play on it over. Also, I was on here last week putting out my 5% series play, which was on Colorado minus 1.5 games. So I want to thank everybody watching that grabbed that play and put me to 2-0 and 5% plays for the playoffs. I'm not sure if I do, I will have Colorado at 5% if you get a price, but I got to believe it's going to be about 250, 240, no matter who they play. They are, as we said, just dominating. I actually even said they look destined to win. I know the Rangers might on the other side look a little destined, but I tell you, they're just, you can't blame, like you said, Carmine, you can't really say anything bad about Edmonton. They just weren't in the same league. It's incredible how good this Colorado team is. And now they get even more rest for the next round. It's going to be something else. So really looking forward to tonight's game, and really think it's going to be tough for anybody to beat this Colorado team.
It was just a very, very well-rounded team, and we can talk about Mike Smith. We can talk about the D-core of Edmonton, but I think that when it comes down to it, I believe it was 12 games since the last time Jesse Puljujarvi scored a goal for the Edmonton Oilers. That guy was on the first line last night for Edmonton. You look at a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Andy came on our show yesterday and told us he's been cashing tickets left and right on the shots on goal under with a guy like that, the longest tenured player on that team. And he's barely shooting the puck. Obviously, he's got a goal yesterday. But when it comes down to it, Artturi Lehkonen scoring the game-winning goal for Colorado, to me, guys, tells us a lot about the team. It wasn't Makar. It wasn't Landeskog. It wasn't McKinnon. It wasn't Rantanen and Nichushkin and Comfort. It was a guy they picked up at the deadline that is an absolute workhorse. And he has, not as much flash to him, but the ability to get the job done. And I think that really just defines what kind of team Colorado are. And I think what I've really liked, and you guys know I'm a fan of Nathan McKinnon, but he didn't really have his best game for the first half of the game there, eventually turned up on the Jets. But it goes to show that it really is a team effort when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche. They really don't rely on one or two players. And I think that makes a world of a difference here with them. So, great job by them, and interesting to see what happens with the Oilers in the offseason. Yeah, Buster?
Andrew, I just wanted to mention one quick thing you mentioned about McKinnon there. I think it's been noticed. If you're hockey guys like us and we watch and watch and watch, I'll tell you, McKinnon did an who cares? He does not need to score if he's going to pull what he did against McDavid. He played unbelievably defensive hockey and threw aside his offense to help that club. And that's what wins Stanley Cups. We see it all the time. So, you know what? It doesn't matter. I will take McKinnon all day long doing what he did and I will say, I personally believe McDavid is the best player in the NHL. McKinnon just underneath. But after that defensive performance by McKinnon against McDavid could change my mind a bit.
Great point.
So when we talk about great players or great handicappers, I'm fighting a bug. So I was going to do this on the intro, Andrew, and I really apologize to the two of you. This is Buster's last show as he's going to be traveling. So he won't be back for the rest of the playoffs. But with hockey winding down, I would be remiss if I did not mention another sport is about to start, the CFL. And Andrew and Buster at Wager Talking Sports Memo, guys, I don't want to turn this into a midnight infomercial, but these are two of the best when it comes to CFL betting. The money spends the same, so don't say you don't like CFL. It spends the same as any money bet on NFL, on basketball, on hockey, on tennis, on soccer. It spends the same, and both these guys are absolutely fantastic. Buster, can you, before we get to this game, can you quickly tell us what your lifetime record is?
Well, I did kind of tout myself last Tuesday on here, but yeah, we're hitting 181 units at WagerTalk and now at Sports Memo for over the last 6 years of doing CFL here. I've been with the WagerTalk family that long, and that's a 62% lifetime bet in CFL. But our record on 5%, when we step out on a 5% release, which is our top release on the site, we are hitting 84% in CFL, and we were a perfect 6-0 last year. So I said it last week, not sure. We have a lot of people. I've been following this sport for a long, long time. I do have an advantage of it. I do have a little bit. I talk to way more people on this sport only because I know a lot of people between reporters and stuff like that. So it does help getting a little, but you still have to, it doesn't really matter if that guy misses the extra point and you get a rouge and you end up losing by a half a point. But we really are comfortable with this. And Carmine, I appreciate you putting that out there. You can get the early bird package for half off right now. And I believe the powers that be at Wager Talk and Sports Memo have increased that until Sunday. They were going to do it for the first game, which starts on Thursday, but it's they're going to let it run to the end for the weekend too as well. So go over to Sports Memo and grab that.
Great. That is awesome. Head over there. And Andrew, Buster played back in the day or has been following since they had leather helmets. So he knows his stuff.
Come on, Carmine. I didn't even wear a helmet. Come on, All right,
let's talk some hockey. Shall we talk some hockey?
Those are some great numbers, though, Buster. Congrats to you. And I just real quick, Carmine, I just want to say, like every sport, we always really preach to get the number early, get the best of the number. But that's really what my selling point is with the CFL. And with Buster and Buster I could dream of having the numbers long term that Buster has had. I just great stuff there. But I think what him and I would both agree, getting on these packages, whether it's a 3-day, 1 week, getting on for the CFL season, it's better than buying the play that day. These numbers move around like no other in the CFL. And last year was a little bit of a down year compared to previous years for me because the lines weren't coming out until the day of the game. But now we're getting the lines back up again on Monday and Tuesday, and we're going to jump on these openers, and we see a line that we don't think should be the case. So CFL is a very beatable market. Speaking of beatable markets, let's jump in to this Eastern Conference final game here. We're going to talk some sides, totals, and props, you name it. The logos are kind of mixed up here on the screen, but we have the Tampa Bay Lightning minus 170, New York Rangers plus 150, totals at 5.5 here in this game. And you take a look at what happened really in the last game, fellas. I was saying to a friend yesterday that I hate when games are decided by power plays. And he's a Colorado fan, so I think he didn't like what I was saying that because the fact that, they scored a late goal in the power play. It wasn't anything to do with that. It was just about I like 5-on-5 hockey. And if you ask me, Tampa Bay was the better 5-on-5 hockey team during that last game. Now, everybody wants to say that, well, it was the Rangers game the whole time. Tampa Bay had to come back. Well, yeah, I mean, the Rangers took advantage of 2 power plays. One of them could have been an Oscar nomination for Igor Shesterkin, acting like there was a sniper in the building. And that's how it goes sometimes. But 5-on-5 hockey, I think we saw a great performance from the Tampa Bay Lightning. 52 shots on goal, 50% on the power play, 38 hits, a great game from them. But as you guys know, I've been someone that's been wrong about New York quite a bit, and I have to give them credit again. What's the old-fashioned saying that I keep on mentioning, guys? Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. That's what we continue to see with Mika Zibanejad, Chris Kreider, Adam Fox, who Carmine has mentioned quite a bit on the show over the past couple episodes. Those guys are getting up to the task just to the absolute limit. What they're able to do for their team right now is second to none. And the other guys in the third and fourth line are playing hard defensively, dumping the puck in, being physical, finishing their checks. But when it comes down to it, those guys, Chris Kreider, Zibanejad, those top line players are executing at a phenomenal rate right now for the New York Rangers. One thing I will mention, however, both those goals I just talked about were power play goals, like I said. So that's a huge emphasis I want to put on because, Carmen, I was on VSiN Network during the intermission of, the last game. And I said, you know what, guys, the goaltenders are playing so well. Give me the in-game under. It was like 4.5, then it turned to 4, and then 3.5 eventually. And right after I finished that radio segment, I go back to my TV to watch the game, and I think there was about 6 penalties in the second period. Not something you want if you have an under, especially an in-game under. But when I look at this game, I believe that Tampa Bay is going to tie things up. We're going to see the series be tied going back to Madison Square Garden at 2 games apiece. But I'm going to go right back to the under. The under has been the story of this series. It's been the story of both these teams this playoffs. And I don't see a reason here for going any other way. Game 1, I liked the over because of the rest factor. One team wasn't rested at all, and I thought one team was too rested. But here, under and Tampa in regulation for me, Carm. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Rangers let that game get away from them. There was 4 power plays. The first 4 goals, 2 from each, were on the power play. Every time Trouba took a penalty, the Lightning made the Rangers pay for it, and he took an interference. He took a holding penalty, and middle of the second, I believe, and then started the third, and they made him pay for it. And then they get that goal at the end. Which kind of made me happy because I had Tampa in regulation time. But it's the same thing, Andrew. You got 2 very good goalies here. 2 teams that are playing extremely well, checking extremely well. If they can stay disciplined, stay out of the box, 5-on-5, I just don't see where the goals come from. This isn't a Colorado versus Edmonton type series. So this has been 2 very good teams, and they're fighting it out. I'm going to look at that first period under. And it's at 1.5 minus 130 on the under, and that's the way I'm going to go on this one. As far as like the props, which we'll talk about later, the one I talked about, the Adam Fox. Unfortunately, I've been priced out of that. As I said, he's played 17 games thus far in the playoffs. He's registered a point in 15 of those 17, and his odds haven't been as high as they've been here. He's now minus 175 to register a point or more. So that's priced me right out. I don't like laying that kind of juice on a player's prop. I kind of like those plus ones, and I'll have a plus one for you guys at the end of the show. We gave you Mikko Rantanen yesterday. He scored in all 4 games against the Oilers, plus 130, and we cashed that one. So we'll see if we can cash another one under first period, under 1.5 for me. Buster?
Yeah, Carmine, I like that play myself. I'm with Andrew as well. I like this. I do like the game under, and for the reasons why you guys talked about penalties. Gotta believe that Cooper and Gallant will say, "Listen, enough of this is enough. I know you guys hate each other, the whole bit, but you cannot take undisciplined penalties in the playoffs. It will come and kill you." Like you say, New York had a couple power play goals, kept them in that game. But truthfully, eye test wise, and everybody's got their own opinion on this. But after 3 games, I'm a little shocked. I think New York's kind of got the best of them. I think they just look better. And I'll tell you right now, Igor looks better than Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky looks kind of like he did in those first few games against Toronto. Nothing like he did against Florida, that's for sure. So, again, this is a super, super tough series to pick a side. I can see, tonight's game, let's just go with 180. Am I going to lay 180 with Tampa because I think they get tied up at home? Well, I actually don't think it's too tough of a call. It's one of these games. If we were a regular week, I'd be telling everybody, you know what, guys, there's better games to bet out there. The best, so on a sidewise, anyways, the best bet for me on here would be the under, just like you guys. I think because of the penalties, I think you won't see as many power plays tonight. I think they'll play a little bit better than that. The Rangers will play that defense. Tampa Bay can play that game as well. So even though this series so far, they've actually played really offensive games. If you look at them, they've been more, and I gotta believe Cooper and Gallant do not like it. So just a little talk about what happened last game too. Experience, right? That might, at the end of the day, maybe wins Tampa Bay this series. I don't know. I can see this being like the home, and New York winning 7, because that just seems to be the way it is. But can anybody go against the 2-time Stanley Cup champions? I can't. They've made me a lot of money already in these playoffs. So for me, again, I could see a goaltender stealing one of these games, which is always going to be good. And the experience, you saw it. They were down 2-1, third period. They get the 2 goals, Tampa Bay. They get one late. They win that game. Does the inexperience of the Rangers eventually lose in this series? Or does that young, buck attitude go out there and, we got nothing to, we're good. We're kind of playing like we're not supposed to be here, kind of that attitude. And they've got a lot of good young players. That kid line, they've got some good players. This has been a great series. Looking forward to a great game tonight. Wouldn't be surprised to see a 2-1 game. Don't know who's going to win 2-1.
Andrew, right now, our producers, Dan Alexander and Joe Ranieri, have heard us a consensus on the under, and they are clicking max bets on the over right now. I can just hear it. There's the bell.
They're ready to go. They're lining up at the window right now. It's true, but you know what? It's hard to go any other way between these two. And I think a point Buster made, we all talked about the special teams, but talking about the fact that they have to be more disciplined. And Carm, you mentioned Jacob Trouba. As good as he's been, and as much as he's kind of played along that line, and as much as I didn't like to see him take out Crosby and other players during these playoffs and regular season, he's kind of crossing that line now by taking the undisciplined penalties like Buster was talking about. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see how many times these teams get to the power play tonight and how much it's different. I did talk about Zibanejad and Kreider. I didn't mention the guy for Tampa Bay that I should have mentioned. That's Nikita Kucherov. Great game from him. And he was the one that set up Palat to score that game-winning goal in the last game. So that was an unbelievable performance, a great game to watch as a hockey fan in general, guys. And I just look forward to seeing what this game has in store. Quickly about the props. Carmine and I are doing these props at the end of the show and stuff like that. But I talked about, yesterday on the show, we talked about the save props. But when you've got a team like Tampa Bay that had 52 shots on goal, Igor Shesterkin has been a lights-out goalie save prop kind of guy. These props, as Carm mentioned yesterday, they don't come out until later on in the afternoon. The player, offensive and defensive players come out earlier, but the goaltending I don't see till later in the day, at least consensus-wise. But I would look towards it again for Igor Shesterkin, and I don't see any reason to stop looking at it for him because the message seems to be clear. Fire from all angles, stop trying to be picky and find the perfect shot, and get into his crease. I thought that what they did last game was not smart, to try and bump into him, and Corey Perry was tapping him on the glove and the helmet. But the message was made very clear to me as a bettor. They're trying to shoot as much as they can from every angle they can and get into his face. And I feel like that's what they're going to continue to do. And when you go from averaging, 30, 35 shots in a series to all of a sudden looking at 52 shots, to me, that tells us something a little bit different here. So tonight's game should be interesting. Looking forward to it. And we're all kind of expecting a defensive battle. Hopefully we see these teams stay disciplined and stay out of the penalty box.
Andrew, I just want to jump in one quick second because Chuck Pod asks a very good question in the chat, and I want to address it. He's holding the New York Rangers plus 1,100 to win the Eastern Conference. So I'm assuming that he said Eastern Conference. He asked, when's the best time to hedge out? Well, the best time would be tonight, and not by taking the game, by taking Tampa Bay to win the series. They are plus 120 right now. If you want to hedge out your liability, you can go to like the Action Network. They have a very good hedging calculator. You can hedge out your liability and just ride with the Rangers and hope they win tonight. And come home up 3-1 and likely lock up that series. But if Tampa wins tonight, you're not going to get Tampa at plus money again unless they lose in New York. So waiting too long, the opportunity of hedging with 2+ money plays can be lost at times. So maybe get your liability out and just ride with the Rangers if you feel really confident about them winning this series. But like I said, head over there or message me on Twitter, and I'll send you the link for the hedge calculator. I use it a lot as I always get my liability out on very big prices.
Well, let me ask you, Carm. You do a lot of this stuff, and you're good with these futures, and I'll get your thoughts on it too, Buster. But is it worth it right now if somebody wants to play Tampa to take this adjusted price or to just take them every game right now? I mean, is plus 120 a good enough price to want to jump in and sit back and ride that? Or somebody likes Tampa without that pre-existing future bet on New York, would you want to just ride it at this point and keep betting on them to win each game? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're minimizing your possible profit. If you took Tampa Bay tonight and you're laying minus 170 on them, if the Rangers win, your plus 1,100 is looking good, but you now are invested another 1.7 units with regards to that. Your initial layout on your plus 1,100. So the most optimal hedging is when you can get plus on both sides. To at the very least, get out your liability. It's all your comfort zone. I have one account that all my futures go through, and the ones like Real Madrid 18-1 and 33-1 to win the Champions League. Croatia making it into the World Cup final, and they were 40-1, or Italy winning the Euros at 12-1. Chelsea last year 20-1 to win the Champions League. I always have big futures where I know that they're going to run deep enough that I can hedge out a profit. And it's all about making profit at the end of the day. There are some guys who hate hedging. They're like, I'm not a gardener. I'm not going to hedge. My thing is build your bankroll, and sometimes you're giving up a little bit of value, but you're still growing your bankroll at the end of the day.
And that's really what it's all about. And that's kind of the similar thing to what I did with the Golden State Warriors after they lost game 1 of their series, Buster. Any thoughts for you on these series? Do you get involved with that in many of these sports, or are you strictly a game-by-game type of bettor?
Well, as I said, I've been hitting the NHL series plays, but I might be the latter, as Carmine described, as all my buddies that we've been gambling a long time. We don't like to be the hedgehog, and just the only time I will is usually on a game 7, depending on how it's all set up. But I totally understand a guy like Carmine that does this all the time. He's always got a whole bunch of futures going on. The most time I'm betting where I'm going to have it, where I'll have a future that I might hedge as being then, like you said, Andrew, in NBA basketball, maybe in the MLB playoffs, and of course in NHL. But usually I will ride with my bet because I made the bet for a reason. But if it gets to game 7 and I can see where I'm going to increase my bankroll either way, and I don't feel comfortable about what's going on as that series went on, then I would do that. But again, Carmine's a guy that has a lot more futures going on than me, but I normally wouldn't. I just don't hedge for the most part.
Yeah, the smaller ones, Andrew, I don't hedge. And like Colorado, I'm not going to hedge out Colorado at plus 500 because from the financial point of view, the risk amount, while somewhat big, isn't big enough where it's a game changer. And I'm going to write them out because I think they're the best team. And plus 550 is not one that I want to hedge out. Even though if they're minus 250, you're going to get a comeback on plus 170 or so on the other teams. But just getting my liability out doesn't really matter to me there. And whenever you make that comment to me in our personal chats, dude, you went to Vegas, you're going to Vegas 4 times. Those future bets, man. The futures bets are getting me there. Happy wife, happy life.
Hey, Carmine, since we got a couple of minutes, maybe, just curious. You got that you have that we don't, but okay, real quick. You got that Colorado bet, right? Okay. I just was curious. Maybe you could help the rest of the guys. You got that Colorado bet for game 7. Say if it goes game 7, Tampa or the Rangers is game 7, and you've got all that money on Colorado. Do you not take a little bit on because there'll be a huge underdog if it's game 7. Do you not hedge a little bit there?
Well, here's the thing is in the next series, like I said, if it's 250 plus 170, it's a nickel. I could put 300 on the plus 170 and get my liability out, making a $500 profit and ride the rest on Colorado. But it's just, it's to win 2,500. It's not as big as the other one. So I'm perfectly happy riding a good team like Colorado through to the Stanley Cup Finals. But that could change once we get there, guys, throughout the series. So we'll see.
Let's jump into the show power plays for today. Try and make some money in this game. Each of us in a different way. I'll start with you, Carm, for your power play. Coming off that Mikko Rantanen prop. And I want to mention as well, Carm, he actually didn't have a great series in the last series either. He wasn't really top notch, and he really turned it on in the series against the Edmonton Oilers. What do you have in store for us tonight and for your clients?
Yeah, 1 play up in NHL along with 3 prop bets. You can get them over at WagerTalk, all in one package, 4 plays. We had a good night last night, like I said, so we'll try and keep that going. Nothing in soccer today with the power having gone out here earlier. I couldn't get onto my stat sites, and so I just skipped all the European games today. We'll be back tomorrow with that. My scores prop, I'm going to go outside of the realm. This guy has scored in 3 of the last 4 games. He got the overtime winner. And Andrew, I had to listen to the highlights on YouTube before the show to make sure I pronounced his name right. And I'll still probably get it wrong, his first name. Andre Palat, plus 200 to score a goal tonight. Again, he scored in 3 of the last 4 games, going back to that previous series against Florida, 2 of the 3 games against the Rangers, including the game winner last time out. On that second line, playing extremely well at home. Plus 200 is a really good price, so I'm going to give it a shot.
That is a great price there with Palat, a guy that plays the 200-foot hockey game, an absolute workhorse, and he scores those goals you want to see your team score in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Great stuff there, Carm. Check him out over at WagerTalk.com. And Buster, we talked about CFL. Week 1 feels like it's just kind of just surprised us. Here it is. I'm happy it's here. What else do you have going for your clients tonight and the rest of the week?
Yeah, I won't talk too much more about the CFL. Go over to Sports Memo. It is $2 Tuesday, and there's 3 guys up at Sports Memo. You get 3 plays for $5. That program has been going really well, and we've been having winning weeks over there. So go grab that, and I know WagerTalk has $2 Tuesday as well. So just grab those. And for me, I've got a best bet in Major League Baseball tonight, coming off a nice 5-0 night last night. Actually 6-0, including my 5% series win. So that's a good way to start the week. If you like CFL, go grab my package or grab Andrew's. Believe me, Andrew. I know we don't have time, but I watched a video of Andrew and Mr. Cameron, I believe, I think Andrew was 15 years old doing these videos about 8-9 years ago, and a buddy of mine said, "You got to watch these two kids about CFL." I'm like, I don't got time to watch those kids. And then one day I watched, I thought, these guys are pretty impressive on CFL. So go grab Andrew too. He's very, very good CFL captain, just like myself. Maybe we should have put a package together for both of us. I don't know, Andrew. But anyways, for hockey tonight, of course, it's probably going to be my last show. Not around next week. If they happen to play Monday or Tuesday, and if these guys want me to come on 2 weeks from now, I will try to do that from the location that I will be at. But tonight, it will be a first period money line on the New York Rangers plus 135. It's a huge price for Tampa. I know they played really well. I really like the way the Rangers have been playing. And I really like the way Igor, to me, has been outplaying Vasilevsky. So right now, so far, the first 3 games, a win and 2 pushes. And I think New York's looked the best team in that first period every time. So they're giving me 135 and I can still push. I'm going with that for sure. This is going to be a great game tonight, and I tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if something happens, the Rangers win this one, or it goes to overtime or something like that. But just saying, one of those gut feelings that Buster gets every once in a while. But, anyways, just one more thing. I want to thank you guys. Thank all the chat, everybody. It's been a great season, and I'll tell you, Andrew, I know I say this to you and Carmine all the time. You guys have took this show to the next level. You guys, I know how tough it is. I do it 1 day a week. You guys do this 5 days a week. You're always on. I know you get grief and that, but that's part of the deal. So you guys do a great job, and it doesn't matter what any trolls or anybody says. You're out there, you're working hard, and hard work pays off, and you guys have deserved everything you guys have got, and looking forward to the next few years doing this show with you guys.
We appreciate it, Buster. I look forward to hopefully meeting you this summer if we can figure it out in Ontario, have a beer together. And I always look forward to Tuesdays. What's so great is that we get a first period winner every Tuesday as well. And that's what we can always count on Tuesdays. So it's great to see you always, Buster. Safe travels to you and your better half. Hope you guys have a blast this summer. And again, hopefully the 3 of us can be in the same room sometime this summer and have some beers and maybe make some money on the CFL in person at a game. That would sound pretty good to me.
Maybe we could get to a game in Hamilton or Toronto. So I'll be back in August. So we'll hopefully, depends on when you come down here. But if not, we'll maybe see you in Vegas sometime.
Sounds good. Guys, for me, I've got a lot of stuff loaded up actually at WagerTalk.com. I have a 5% UFC for this Saturday coming up. I cashed one last Saturday. We're going to try and do it again. First time in a long, long time I've had back-to-back 5% UFCs. This is a spot I really, really do like. I have a 5% MLB play going tonight. Looking forward to that. Plus 45 units on the 5% plays, I believe, in the last 6-7 months. So it's been a pretty good run with those, pretty steady. And short-term, 75% run last week and a half in the MLB. And, of course, I have my CFL top play up for this week, along with a package with all of my releases, totals, and sides you can grab at WagerTalk.com. My prop play for today, a little bit different here. Carm actually brought these to my attention last year, and this is the first time I've bet one this year. We're talking about Mika Zibanejad to get a power play point tonight at plus 155. I talked about how the special teams have been so crucial. On the show today, we mentioned how we think and we hope both teams stay out of the box, but not the full game. I don't think we can see it the full game. We're going to see a power play or two for both teams. So Zibanejad to get a point at plus 155 on the power play, much better than the odds for him to just get a point in general. So that is my power play for today. Don't forget my 5% MLB play at WagerTalk.com. Quick recap here. Don Buster with the New York Rangers, first period money line at plus 135. And Carmine Bianco looking for another goal-scoring prop winner with Andre Palat to score a goal at plus 200. I want to thank Buster, Carmine, and all of you guys for watching us every single day. I'm Andrew, and we will see you on Thursday.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and sportsmemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers, best bet, or daily package for only $2.